Good evening everyone, I'm Vishal Salsekar and today we are going to cover the News Today articles for 1st June. So in today's discussion, we are going to cover 4 important articles in detail. The first article is regarding the importance of Aravallis. So recently there was a sandstorm that was observed specifically from the region of Thar Desert. And there were certain traces that were observed in the interior part of Rajasthan also, and that shows that how important Aravalli is. And that's why in this particular article we'll talk about the importance of Aravalli and certain other aspects like the threat that Aravalli right now is facing. The next is regarding the illegal sand mining. So there are many such river basins in India that are facing the severe sand mining and specifically the illegal sand mining related issues, and in those particular aspect it is specifically this time it is the Chambal river regarding which the Supreme Court had highlighted that there is a large amount of illegal sand mining that is going on in that particular region. And that's why the 3 states, which includes the Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh, where the convergence of that particular region from where the Chambal river flows, and that's why the Supreme Court had highlighted that this particular is a severe issue. Next is the 6 years of the Prime Minister SVANidhi scheme. So how this particular scheme is going with the objective of providing the formalization to the street vendor, providing them the access to credit, right? So we'll talk about this particular aspect. And the last is regarding the ALMM for the solar cells. So we will talk about the type of incentives that the government is providing regarding the solar cells and certain other type of renewables. Then in the personality news today we are going to talk about Lokmata Ahilya by Holkar, and then there are certain other quick updates that we are going to discuss in. So let's start the discussion with the first article regarding the ecological importance of the Aravalli range. Now from the perspective of UPSC, as you already able to see that from the perspective of GS paper 3, this is a very important topic. But apart from that, if you talk about the physiography, GS paper 1 geography also, this is an important article. So the Aravalli ranges are very, very important. And a few days back also you might have seen in the news that the Aravalli was there because of certain things that the Supreme Court had highlighted regarding the definition of the hills where there will be the mining and the other activities that will be permitted. So that's why Aravalli was there in news, and hence there can be questions about this also in the examination. Now, talking about the context, so recently there was a massive dust storm in the part of the Rajasthan which highlights the importance of Aravalli. Now I'll tell you how Aravalli is important, because it acts as a barrier. Barrier between what? Barrier between the Thar Desert region and the Gangetic Plain region. And Aravalli is acting as a type of a dividing range. And if there would be no Aravalli, then eventually the sandstorm that will continue in the region of the highly population dense regions of the Gangetic Valley, and that will eventually create a lot of practical difficulty and issue for that particular region, which is very densely habitated, right? That's why in this particular context, Aravallis are very, very important. Now, talking about like why recently there was the sandstorm in this particular region of Thar Desert. So it is observed that there were the western disturbances, and that's why this particular western disturbances drew that particular flow of the wind towards the interior part of India, and that's why we have observed the sandstorm region. And this is not a new phenomena. These type of things keep on happening, but this is the Aravalli range which provides or acts as a natural barrier. If there would not be this type of natural barrier, eventually there will be rise of desertification also, because see, right now the Thar is confined to that particular region, but if there is no Aravallis, then in that particular case there will be eastward expansion of the Thar Desert. That also you can observe, and that would create the situation where there is going to be the massive impact on the large settled population in that specific region, and that's why it is important. Now, talking about what is the importance of the Aravalli ranges, why Aravalli is specifically important. So there are certain important aspects pertaining to Aravalli. First is regarding the geographical importance. Now, for you in brief, if I give you an idea from where to where this Aravalli range lies, so from the Gujarat region to the region of Delhi, you will be able to observe the chain of mountain range, and that particular range is Aravalli. So from the region of Delhi to Gujarat, so there is the extension of Aravalli. And when we talk about the importance of Aravalli, the first very important aspect pertaining to that is one of the oldest type of mountain ranges that the Aravallis have. So it is one of the most ancient type of mountain ranges that are still available, that is Aravalli ranges. So one of the world's oldest mountain ranges. So geographical importance, obviously the type of stones, the type of minerals that are available over there, obviously they are exclusive. Apart from that, barrier against the desertification, so we know that if there would be continuation of the flowing of the sandy storm from the region of the Thar desert till the region of the Gangetic plain, and that would be possible if there would not be any Aravalli. If there will be more degradation of Aravalli, and that will be the situation that is going to happen. So that's why barrier against the desertification also is Aravalli. So that's why Aravalli is very, very important. Next is the ecological importance, because see, though that particular jo range hai, that is on one side there is the desert type region, on the other side there is the Gangetic plain type of region, which is comparatively greener, and that's why it acts as an ecological barrier also, and it also acts as a type of ecotone. I'm not saying exactly it is ecotone, but a type of ecotone, and that's why you will be able to observe the diversity of the species that are available in that particular region. So it is supporting the diversity, forest, grasslands, wildlife habitat, all these are situated over there. Then there is the hydrological importance, because whenever there is mountain range, that also acts as a type of the watershed. So that's why Aravalli also acts as a major watershed, where major watershed in the for the regions on the rivers like the Sabarmati, Luni and Banas river, and that's why the Aravalli is providing the water to those particular rivers also, through obviously acting as a catchment region. And lastly, the economic and cultural importance. There are many pilgrimage sites, there are many sacred sites that are situated near the Aravalli ranges, and that's why Aravalli is comprehensively, historically, geographically and the region wise, that particular ranges are very, very important. Now, was there any type of measures in order to protect Aravalli? Yes, there were certain type of measures. Just Aravalli Green Wall Initiative. Now, by the Green Wall Initiative, you know that there will be the plantation of the trees, and they are going to act as a natural barrier, so that there will not be the much degradation of the Aravalli ranges. So that's what is the Aravalli Green Wall Initiative. So it is by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change for the afforestation, then the grassland restoration and the wetland restoration. So these are the initiatives which were done. Apart from that, there is control on mining. So this is one of the controversial aspect, because for that the definition is very, very important regarding Aravalli. Now, as UPSC is asking certain technical question also, have an idea regarding what exactly was the controversy recently, and what was basically the Supreme Court's observation in that particular regard, why the people are protesting regarding the saving of Aravalli. So there is a control on the mining that the government has also ensured. So there is still strict regulation on the illegal mining and the encroachment, because if there is keep on mining, there will be keep on encroachment, then eventually it is going to degrade that particular region. And lastly, the soil conservation. So the construction of the check dams, contour trenches, then the rainwater harvesting structure. So these are further things which are very, very important from the perspective of the conservation of the Aravalli ranges, and that's why it is very, very important. And whenever there is any specific region which is acting as a natural barrier, eventually it becomes comparatively more important, right? And when it is important geographically, it always be important from the examination perspective also, and UPSC can ask about that. Now, talking about the causes of the Aravalli degradation, there are various causes for the Aravalli's degradation, which include the illegal mining, one of the prominent thing. Apart from that, deforestation. When you are going to remove the trees from that particular region, eventually the trees which are holding the soil of that region, they are going to get loosened, and eventually there will be more degradation. Next, the urbanization and the encroachment. Whenever there is going to be the urban settlement, there will be more and more construction. For more and more construction, you are going to reduce those particular mountain ranges, and that's why it is going to be the reduction of the mountainous region. Apart from that, overgrazing, because major region is also utilized for the pastoral activities. There are many such wildlife sanctuaries, national park are also situated in that particular region, and that's why overgrazing is also one such thing which degrades eventually the land. And lastly, the habitat fragmentation. Generally hota kya hai, that in that particular forest region, now you are taking out land for the resettlement, you are taking out land for certain other purposes, and that's why there will be the fragmentation, and that eventually is going to create the dispute. Apart from that, fragmentation also is there because of obviously the generational things are going to continue, and that's why the land is going to get fragmented, right? So from the wildlife also, from the human perspective also, there is fragmentation of the. Next article that we have to discuss is regarding the illegal sand mining in the National Chambal Sanctuary. So from the perspective of environment, ecology, biodiversity, this is important. Now what exactly had happened? So Supreme Court has recently taken the suo motu cognizance and also reprimanded the states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. You can say that the Supreme Court have highlighted that, see, in your regions these particular things are happening. And what are these things? Persistent illegal sand mining around the national and around the Chambal Gharial Sanctuary. So see, Gharial, a very prominent species, a type of crocodile type species, right? And that particular species specifically available in the region of Chambal water. And when the Gharial, which is a critically endangered species, the conservation have to take certain more stringent step, but then eventually what is happening? There is the illegal sand mining, and that's why it was there in news. Now what exactly is illegal sand mining? We know that if there is no permission in order to mine that particular region, in order to survey that region, you are drilling, you are mining, and that particular thing is basically the illegal mining, means you are doing the mining without any permit. Now when it comes to the sand, it is a minor construction mineral, minor type of mineral that is highlighted under the Mines and Mineral Development Regulation, right? So it is a minor mineral, but then this particular illegal mining includes the reconnaissance, then there is prospecting or mining without the required mineral concession. Means you do not have any legal valid license pertaining to that and still you are doing that particular thing. That means it is basically the illegal type of mining that you are doing. Now the causes of this particular mining includes that there are the ecological degradation, there is the biodiversity loss also, because see, whenever there is mining, eventually you will remove the upper soil. So that particular upper soil ke saath there will be the removal of the species, removal of the biodiversity, and that eventually going to cause a lot of issues. So law and order challenges also, because whenever there is going to be the mining, it might eventually cause in the destruction of certain habitats also, and then there will be sometimes law and order situation, maybe the opposition parties or opposition in general, not exactly political terms may, but there is the opposition, means there will be one who is doing the mining and then there are the community people, right? So that will be there. Apart from that, there is mafia raj, that is also one such issue. Apart from that, economic and the social cost that is associated with that. So these are the things pertaining to the illegal mining. Now why revenue loss? Because hota kya hai, if it is illegal mining, then in that particular cases, who is getting the money as the tax or the deeds? It is eventually going not to the government. It is basically being appropriated by those particular mafias and going to the local politicians also sometimes, right? Now, talking about protection against the sand mining, illegal sand mining ke against kya protection hai? So there is the MOEFCC Sustainable Sand Mining Management Guidelines. So these are the guidelines which talks about what exactly constitutes the sustainable mining. Apart from that, there is the enforcement and the monitoring guidelines of 2020. So these are certain type of regulations, guidelines and rules which are pertaining to the illegal mining. Apart from the technology based monitoring, so there is the surveillance system, satellite based surveillance, there is radio surveillance and many type of surveillance that can be there, where you need not to be physically present over there, but through the technological utilization you can do the supervision. Apart from that, mineral conservation and the development rules 2017, so it is basically regarding the idea ki what was the mineral concentration and how much is available. So you will be able to know regarding that what was exactly the reserve and how much is being extracted. So by calculating that, you will be know or able to get an idea regarding the auditing of different minerals, and through that you will be able to know regarding the illegal mining also. Lastly, regarding the penalties, obviously there will be need for sometimes the coercive actions also. So these are the coercive actions that sometimes government takes. There are very heavy fines. There is also the imprisonment related clause. So there is the 5 year up to 5 years tak ka imprisonment that the court can do in order to ensure, give the justice for the or prevention of the illegal mining. Now talking about another aspect which is important from this article's perspective, which is regarding the National Chambal Gharial Sanctuary, right? So National Chambal Sanctuary, obviously you should be having an idea regarding location. So where it is situated in a tri-junction region. Uttar Pradesh is there, there is Madhya Pradesh, there is Rajasthan. So on the tri-junction region, it is the Chambal Sanctuary situated. When it was established, 1979. So region establishment. Apart from that, species और कौन से, which are the other important species? एक तो घड़ियाल we already know, but apart from that there is a red crowned roof turtle, there is Ganges dolphin, that is also there. So these are certain prominent species that are related to that particular region. Now whenever there is any species in the news, chances are high that UPSC can also sometime ask regarding what is exactly their status. When it is the National Chambal Gharial Sanctuary, you should be having an idea regarding the gharials. So the gharials, there is the Gavialis, then Gangeticus, right? So it is found in the tributaries of the Ganga, and these particular tributaries include the Chambal, Girva river, and apart from that there is the Rapti and the Narayani river in the Nepal. So it is found in the India also, it is found in the Nepal also, but in a very few selective streams it is available. You might have seen the snout on the front part of that particular beak of the gharial, that is the ghada, or because of which the name derives gharial, right? IUCN status, it is critically endangered, means one of the highest state of protection that this particular species have got. Wildlife Protection Act may, obviously it will be the part of the Schedule 1 and also the 4 because of the critically endangered, and then sides may, it is the Appendix 1, again the highest protection that this species have got, right? So this is regarding the Next is regarding the 6 years of the PM Street Vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, which is the PM SVANidhi, right? So 6 years have been completed, and that's why there is an appraisal that has been talked about, that what exactly were the benefits that came out of this particular PM SVANidhi and what is exactly the appraisal of this particular initiative. Now, talking about UPSC ke accordingly, so GS paper 2 governance, welfare and social justice, it is important, and GS paper 3 economy wise also it is very, very important, because what it is doing, this is the street vendors Atmanirbhar Nidhi, means eventually you can just have a guess also regarding this, that some money is going to be provided to the street vendors so that they can do a formalized type of setup in that particular cart only, and that particular money will be provided comparatively at no collateral, and then there will be the subvention also being provided by the government. So basically a formal type of credit, that particular credit is eventually going to help that individual who is doing this particular cart wala activity, so that they will be able to comparatively do better, become the part of the formal economy, and should not be going into the debt trap type of situation, right? So that's why the context is this was launched in 2020, because now it has been the 6 years, right? And that's why we are doing the appraisal. It is the transformative initiative providing the street vendors the formal credit access to strengthen and expand their livelihood, right? So basically to provide the access to the credit, this is the major objective. Now, what exactly are the achievement of this particular initiative? So first is regarding the credit support, right? So what is the credit support? Roughly 1 crore loans have been provided, and eventually if you average it also roughly 15,000, so there is the more than 15,000, so roughly 17,800 crore plus are the collateral free loans. This is the amount and this is the number of loans that have been provided. Now beneficiary coverage kitna hai? The beneficiary coverage is roughly 75.5 lakh. That means roughly 75.5 lakh people have got the loan through the SVANidhi. That means they have become part of the formal credit system. And eventually, suppose karo, if you are able to have the access to credit zero collateral ke saath, and then eventually government is also providing you some subvention, that means now you will be having comparatively more money with you in order to start any new venture, right? Or maybe expand that particular venture, and that's what is being done. So it is observed that roughly 20% increase in the average income that was observed from this. Apart from that, women empowerment, because targeted beneficiary also included women, so roughly you can assume that 75 ka half se thoda kam, but yes, substantial amount of women have also got the benefit of this particular PM SVANidhi, and that's why 34.81 lakh, roughly on an average you can talk about 35 lakh women got the benefit of this. That means now women who were not previously getting, because of the lack of documents, because of a lack of formal procedural related completion, they were not getting the access to the formal credit. Now they are part of the formal credit system. Next is the digital inclusion, because suppose karo, when you are getting the SVANidhi or the amount in your account, so basically you are also becoming part of the digital system, because that is going to ensure that you are going to accept the digital payments also. So there is a digital onboarding also of 55 lakh plus street vendors, so that the payment related things will be comparatively streamlined. Lastly, it also got certain innovative aspect related awards, like the Prime Minister's Award for the Excellence in the Public Administration, for the innovation at the central level. So this is the award that this particular Prime Minister SVANidhi have got now. These are certain important aspects regarding the PM SVANidhi. So it is empowering the street vendors, which is strengthening the livelihood. What are the features? First is the working capital. So this is going to provide you the collateral free working capital, and that particular working capital is going to help you to set up the establishment. Now, obviously, in this particular case, it is cart, but then it is going to provide you the seed capital for that. Apart from that, UPI linked RuPay credit card, if your history is good, means you are repaying it on a timely manner. So, after repaying the second tranche, आप जब अपने loan का second tranche pay कर दोगे, after that you will get the UPI linked RuPay credit card that will be having limit up to 30,000. That means now you have got the card also, and that will be the type of credit card. So you can spend, means for matching the demand and supply. If you want to expand, you can do, because of your good history. The government is going to help you in order to get this particular RuPay credit card. Digital adaptation also, because now if you are going to ask someone to adopt the digital type of payments, so in that particular case, if you are trying to incentivize them by giving them certain lucrative offers, maybe the cashbacks or maybe any other things, so in that particular case, cashback incentives up to 1600 rupees provided to the street vendors for the retail wholesale digital transactions, right? So that there will be the more involvement in the digital transaction. Then SVANidhi se Samriddhi, so it is the socio-economic profiling of the beneficiaries and the families conducted to connect them with the 8 selected central welfare schemes. So basically, it is going to provide the benefit of the other schemes also. So basically, this is clubbing different other benefits also. Lastly, the capacity building and the entrepreneurship. So it is also, apart from providing the financial help, there will be the training in the financial literacy, digital literacy, food safety, collaboration. Because you might have seen many a time that vendors get money, but then eventually if they do not know exactly how to utilize and maximize their business with this particular amount, then in that case, this जो 20% हमने discuss किया था ना, that there is an increment of the income, that might not happen, and that's why these are capacity building related things are also being done now. Talking certain important feature which are factual also regarding the PM SVANidhi. So it is under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, right? And along with the Department of Financial Services, DFS, this is being implemented. Outlay कितना है 7,000 plus crore, roughly this is the outlay. Now it is a central sector scheme. That means it is mainly the funding requirement is going to be fulfilled by the central government. Timeline क्या है? June 2020 onwards था. Initially it was till 2025, and then eventually it was extended till 2030. ठीक है? So from 2024-25 में it was restructured, and then 2024 to 2030 it was being done. Implementation, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and the DFS, and to address the vulnerability of the street vendor, recognition of the vendor, then the financial inclusion via collateral free working capital loan. So that we have discussed in the beginning. The last article that we have to discuss is regarding the approval list of the models and the manufacturer. This is basically a set of list जहाँ पे what are the models and what are the manufacturers, means for the standardization there will be the approval list of the models and manufacturer, and that's why this was there in news. So this is recently being approved by the government, and that's why this particular list 2 for the solar cell comes into force. So this will be a measure for the standardization, right? So this is a measure of the standardization of the panel. Now syllabus के accordingly, if you see GS paper 3 environment, energy, ecology, it is important, and also from the economy perspective. Why? Because see, if there will be more adoption of the solar energy, if there will be more such type of things are going to be there, then eventually you can assume that there will be more generation of the solar energy, and that's what is going to promote the renewable energy. And we have a target to achieve by 2047 regarding the renewable energy, and that's what these particular initiatives are going to help. Context क्या है? Ministry of New and Renewable Energy have decided not to grant a blanket extension to the ALMM list to implementation beyond 1st June, right? So decided not to grant a blanket extension to ALMM. ठीक है, blanket extension नहीं दिया रहेगा. It will be based upon the approval and all, right? What exactly is ALMM? It is the list of the models and manufacturers of the solar photovoltaics, right? Modules approved by MNRE, means MNRE is going to decide some standardization, and that's what is going to be the model and manufacturers के लिए जो standardized aspect है, that will be there. Introduce किसने किया था? Ministry of New and Renewable Energy in 2019 to ensure the quality, because it will assume something which is fundamental to the photovoltaic, so that there will not be any compromise regarding the quality, reliability, and apart from that, domestic sourcing of the solar photovoltaic modules. Now solar PV list, there is one also, there is two also, ठीक है. So these are the different type of solar photovoltaic की जो list है वो. And then mandate क्या है, only solar photovoltaics modules or cell included in the ALM can be used for the notified project, means the government project and many other type of project जो कि government approved project होते हैं, government assisted projects, open access, net metering project, there this ALMM approved type of things are only going to function, right? So जो PVs हैं, जो photovoltaics हैं, ALMM के according है, then only they will be applied in these type of project. Now what is the rationale and significance? Because see, you are doing some sort of standardization. If there is some standardization, means the quality with respect to certain other things, they are already in check, and that's why there will not be much alteration possibility in this particular regard. If there will not be any such type of thing, then chances are high that there may be alteration or any other issues that can be there. So it provides the stable regulatory framework. Then domestic manufacturing boost, because indigenous solar manufacturing system को भी promote कर रहा है, because once you have clarity regarding standardization, regarding quality, regarding the other basic specifications, then eventually certainty के साथ साथ domestic boost is also, it is being provided, right? Apart from the supply chain self resilience, so it is a base self reliance, basically it is enhancing the self reliance and reducing import. So basically this is related to the second point only, not much differentiated aspect. But then if there is going to be more domestic boost, then the supply chain mein India can become the part of the export of these particular photovoltaics, and if not export, basically the self dependent or the self reliant country. Concerns क्या है? First is regarding the capacity mismatch. So India के जो solar module capacity है, that is the 200 gigawatt, and solar cell capacity है, that is the 30 gigawatt, right? So there is a gap between the capacity of this, apart from that pressure on the small manufacturer. क्योंकि देखो, if there are a lot of standardization, a lot of quality related aspects, chances are high that it will not be lying equally on all the manufacturer. Some may be the standardized or the high end manufacturer, some are the low, like working maybe the MSME type के, ठीक है? So in that particular case, smaller non integrated manufacturer may face the supply constraint or maybe the high input constraint, right? Apart from that, market consolidation risk, so increased dependence on the large integrated player, because they do have facilities available, they have the standardized aspects available, and lastly the higher project cost. So if there will be more standardization needed, या more quality related checks are needed, so the cost is going to get up, and in that particular cases, अगर domestic manufacturing की cost ज़्यादा होती है, eventually you will feel that the imports are appearing comparatively less costly or cheaper, and that's why you might import more, right? So there are certain initiatives that are also being done or taken by the government in order to promote or boost the local manufacturing of the solar photovoltaics. जैसे there are the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy ने steps लिए, PLI, production linked incentive, how much you are doing the production, based upon that the incentive is going to be provided. So financial incentive to set up and expand the domestic manufacturing of high efficiency solar PVs. Outlay कितना 24,000 crore, not that important, but just have an idea regarding this scheme. Next is the domestic content requirement. So basically, if there will be utilization by certain external company in that regarding the generation of the photovoltaic cells, in that particular case there will be the domestic content has to be utilized. So the use of the domestically manufactured solar cells and modules in the government supported solar schemes, right? This is also one such important aspect. So basically local produce karo, local utilize karo, right? That is the main motto. Preference to the make in India and the public procurement, again regarding the domestic content, we have already seen. Preference to the domestically manufactured solar modules and inverters in the procurement by the government and its entities. Then the basic custom duties. So custom duties, obviously it is going to lie on the import. So whenever you are doing the import, there will be a custom duty. So what you are doing, there is an imposition of the basic custom duty on the imported solar PVs and modules to promote the domestic manufacturing, because through the custom duties, these imported products are going to get a bit costly, and that's why the domestic incentivization might be there, that the cost may be competitive. And lastly, the withdrawal of the duty concession. So discontinued the custom duty concession for the import of the equipment and material, right? So उससे क्या होगा, जो आपने exemptions दिए हैं या concessions दिए, those concessions को remove करने की वजह से there are chances that there may be increase in these particular type of जो projects हैं जो domestic projects हैं, which are going to boost the domestic manufacturing, that might increase, right? So these are the important things. So which is more important? So these are the prioritized schemes. PLI, very, very important domestic content requirement for the fulfillment of the government project. Apart from that, whatever materials you are utilizing, that should also be the indigenous. ऐसा ना हो कि in order to manufacture that, you are reliant on the other country. So there should be the domestic supply chain that has to be created. And apart from that, certain things which are going to reduce the import and maximize the exports. So next is the personality in news, and today's personality in news is the Lokmata Ahilya Bai Holkar, a prominent personality associated with the Holkar dynasty, right? And after the death of her husband, her father-in-law, and eventually her son also, she took up the throne. And when she took the throne, eventually she ruled as a philosopher queen, right? A personality who was a visionary, a personality who contributed immensely for the welfare, a personality who have contributed immensely for her praja, right? Even regarding the cultural aspects, it was Ahilya Bai Holkar, right? Which region she was ruling? She was ruling over the Malwa. In present day Malwa, which particular seat of Malwa was there? It was the Indore region, right? So present day Indore and the nearby region, that was the Malwa region. So Prime Minister recently paid the tribute to the Lokmata Ahilya Bai Holkar on her birth anniversary, and that's why she was in news. Now, visionary queen of Holkar dynasty ruled Malwa as the philosopher queen, roughly the time period of the 18th century. Born in the village of the Chondi in the Ahilya Nagar. It was erstwhile, it was the Ahmad Nagar. Now it is Ahilya Nagar in the Maharashtra region. And she was married to the Malhar Rao Holkar. Now she took charge of the throne in 1767. Okay? So eventually, once there was no successor, then she took up the throne. Eventually, it was not that easy for a woman to succeed over the throne. There are many such challenges, but she overcame all of that, and she eventually took over the throne. And for roughly 30 years, she effectively ruled over that particular region. What are the important contributions that was done by Ahilya Bai Holkar? It was promotion of the trade textile, because if you know that Malwa region, this is the textile hub. So that particular trade, textile industries, apart from that, she also knew that it is education, very, very important. So the promotion of education and the public welfare. Apart from that, even the textile industry in the Maheshwar. So right now, if you know about the Maheshwari sarees from the region of the Maheshwar, that particular brand of textile that was being developed under her patronage. Apart from that, with respect to the religious upliftment, not exactly upliftment, even the renovation, reconstruction of certain prominent shrines. So the temples like Kashi Vishwanath, Somnath temple, the reconstruction, because after the Islamic invasions, there have been destruction of many such temples, and that's why she also took up the task of doing the restoration, renovation work also. She built also the Maheshwar fort, which is also known as the Ahilya fort on the banks of Narmada. So right now also, if you go to the regions like the Omkareshwar, go to the regions like Maheshwar, or on the banks of the Narmada river, you will be able to see a lot of structures that was being constructed during her. Right. So, having discussed about the personality news, now there are certain quick updates that we have to discuss about. First is regarding the Udant Martand, right? So Udant Martand was there in, what exactly is this? This was the world's first Hindi published newspaper, right? So Hindi Journalism Day is celebrated on 30th May to mark the first publication of the Udant Martand, which is the world's first Hindi newspaper, right? What is the meaning? It is the rising sun, right? So was published under the editorship of Pandit Jugal Kishore Shukla, a lawyer from the Kanpur. So Udant Martand, as a fact, it can be asked. Now, along with Munnu Thakur, apart from that, there are certain other personalities obtained government's permission in order to start a newspaper, and rest is the history. And then you are able to see a lot of journalism that was covered even in the vernacular, marked the beginning of the Hindi journalism in India. Now, why it was important, why it was significant? Because see, vernacular newspaper will be able to connect more masses, it will be having more reach, right? So that's why Hindi newspaper is starting of that in the form of Udant Martand paved the way for the new form of nationalism. So promoted the language of public communication. So Hindi was promoted as the language of public communication, became the symbol of cultural identity and the national awakening, right? Next is the Shangri-La dialogue. So India has signed recently the deal regarding the BrahMos missile with the Vietnam in the Shangri-La dialogue, on the sidelines of Shangri-La dialogue in Singapore, and that's why it was there in news. Now, what exactly is BrahMos missile? It is a supersonic fire and forget missile. So it is basically a type of cruise missile. Range जो previous range थी it was 290, now it is way beyond that, but right now it is 290 के around. अगर हम देखें pre MTCR capping it was 290 kilometer speed. It is a supersonic missile, more than 2.8 Mach is the speed, and the stealth capability है. Now what exactly is the Shangri-La dialogue? So जैसे रायसीना summit होती है, like this also there are different global dialogues regarding the defense, regarding the discussion of the geopolitics. So Shangri-La dialogue, a very prominent dialogue that is being hosted by Singapore, right? So Asia's premier defense summit held annually in the Singapore. Every year this happens, and who organized this? It is the International Institute of the Strategic Studies, IISS, right? So bringing together the global defense leader to discuss the major security challenges, and specifically pertaining to which region? Singapore. So obviously it is the Indo-Pacific region that we can have an idea about, serves as a platform for the strategic debates, bilateral talks, and the defense cooperation. The leaders of different countries are coming, and they are eventually then discussing regarding the issues in the defense related things, and then they are providing cooperation to each other. Next article is regarding the AUKUS. Now, what exactly is the context? AUKUS member announced a deeper maritime cooperation, including development of the advanced underwater drones, expanded the US submarine deployment in Australia from 2027. Now, what exactly is AUKUS? So it was launched in 2021 between three countries, as the name suggests, Australia, UK, and US. So it is the cooperation jahan pe they are going to build up the maritime capabilities, and initially in the first phase or the first pillar, they are going to support the development of military capabilities of Australia. Because point simply, if this particular organization, which is focusing mainly on the Indo-Pacific, which country is the natural resident of the Indo-Pacific? It is the Australia, and that's why they are building the capabilities of Australia so that it can respond to the challenges emerging from that region. So to boost the defense capabilities, accelerate the technological integration, and expanding the industrial capacity of all three nations. Now, there are two pillars. First pillars mein they are going to do cooperation, they are going to boost the capabilities of each other, but primary focus will be jahan par Australia is going to purchase the submarines from the US, right? So first ship जो न्यूक्लियर पावर्ड सबमरीन है, those particular submarines are going to be provided to Australia, and then pillar 2 में they are going to collaborate with each other and develop beyond the maritime capabilities what issues that in the maritime region can be faced, maybe the artificial intelligence, maybe other type of things. All these things they are going to focus jointly upon. So focuses on the joint development of 8 advanced military capability areas, right? Next is the James Webb Space Telescope, right? So James Webb Space Telescope detects the weather pattern on the exoplanet WASP 94AB located in 700 light years away. So this is basically regarding James Webb Telescope. Now, obviously, there are many such observations that are eventually being provided by these type of telescope. What is more important exactly? What is the James Webb Telescope? So it is the largest, most powerful, and the most advanced space telescope that is ever launched, right? Where it is situated? It is situated in the L2 point of Earth. So second Lagrange point of the Earth, this particular telescope is situated, right? So if it is kept in the second Lagrange point, so it can be avoiding any such disturbance or distortions that are coming from the sun, right? So joint mission of NASA, ESA, European Space Agency, and the Canadian Space Agency है. Launch कब हुआ था? 2021 पे. Where it is operating? L2 point 1.5 million kilometer away from the Earth. So it will be able to give a more comprehensive, more detailed idea about the space related activity. What it observes: Earth, early universe, then apart from that galaxy evolution, star formation, death, exoplanet, planetary system, in सब के बारे में, evolution of that, death of the stars, all these things it is able to observe. Next article is regarding the Chief of Defense Staff. So recently there has been appointment of the third CDS in India. Now the third CDS is going to be NS Raja Subramani, who had taken the charge of the third CDS and the Department of Military Affairs, because by de facto the CDS is going to head the Department of Military Affairs, right? Now, certain important things about this present CDS, who is NS Raja Subramani. So he commanded the 16th Gadwal Rifle in Assam, and as a part of the Operation Rhino. Apart from that distinction of having commanded 2 corps and the Premier Strike Corps on the Western Front. So these are certain important information. Now, what exactly is CDS? So basically the office of CDS was created in 2019, and the objective of the office of CDS was to ensure the better alignment, better cooperation between different wings of the armed forces. And that's why a group of ministers, जो 2001 में था, and that had taken the recommendations from 1999 Kargil Review Committee by K. Subramaniam, and that particular committee recommended the formation of a nodal point, and that nodal point is the CDS. He heads the Department of Military Affairs. So de facto, once he becomes the CDS, he is the head of the Department of Military Affairs. He is also the permanent chairperson of the Chief of the Staff Committee. So basically, it's not like he is heading over the all three defense chiefs. No, it is going to act as a coordinating agency, right? Principal military advisor to the defense minister. So if there is any requirement, anything to be communicated to the defense minister, it is through him, promoting the jointness among the three armed forces so that the interoperability, which is the present day's need, that is going to increase, and responsible for creating the joint and the theater command. Because in joint theater commands, there is going to be the cooperation between different wings, and that's why it is important. Next article is regarding cotton. So center has temporarily exempted the custom duty on the cotton import from 1st June to 31st October 2026 to improve the availability for the textile season. What center have done? Exempted the custom duty on the cotton import. Custom duty agar exempt kar di jayegi, to basically there is going to be rise of imports, right? And that's why it is going to increase the availability. So term also used for the cotton is the white gold, right? And it is basically a type of like cotton ball that you are extract from a shrub type of plant, which is the crop available in the tropical and the subtropical region. Now growth kab hoti hai? It is growing in the kharif season in the semi-arid region. So it's not like too wet region, too dry region. It is the semi-arid region jahan pe ye harvest kiya jata hai. Minimum 15 degrees Celsius temperature for the germination, and then eventually optimal temperature kitna hai? 21 to 27 degrees Celsius. Well drained alluvial black red soil that is needed, sensitive to the water logging, right? Now there are 4 cultivated species of cotton in general, but the India is the only country where all the 4 species of the cotton are being cultivated at the commercial level, right? Next is the exercise Pragati. So recently India has concluded a multinational multilateral exercise Pragati, which is the partnership of the regional armies for the growth and transformation of the Indian Ocean region. So comprehensive growth and development of IOR ke liye, this is the major military exercise 2026 mein. It is the first time this particular military exercise is being done, and who had led this particular exercise? It is India. It is a 2 weeks exercise, right? India along with the 12 friendly regional partners in the Indian Ocean region, which includes, see, names of all not important, but just have an idea regarding. Obviously there will be some countries jo nahi hongi, jaise China, Pakistan, that we can exclude. So Bhutan hai, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Maldives, Myanmar, Nepal, Philippines, Seychelles, Sri Lanka, and Vietnam. These are the countries which eventually participated in this military exercise. Now, what it is going to do, whenever there is military exercise, it is to ensure or boost interoperability. So when this military exercise is going on, it is boosting the interoperability, helping counter-terrorism, because when it is from the region of the Indian Ocean region, and the region is mainly facing the counter-terrorism, feeding related issues, piracy, and many other things are there, and that's why these particular things are needed: counter-terrorism, specialized tactical skills, multinational interoperability, intelligence sharing, right? These are important. The last article that we have to discuss is regarding the Arhat Sariputra and the Arhat Mahamoglana, right? So recently there have been the relics of the Arhat Sariputra and the Mahamoglana. These are the 2 disciples that are like basically that are there now in the Mongolia. So which is the monastery that is in Mongolia? It is the Ganadant Gekling monastery of Mongolia, right? So this is the monastery where these particular relics are being placed. So these are the relics preserved for the centuries in the sacred stupa of the Sanchi, right? So Sanchi stupa mein the, now it has been sent to the Mongolia, right? Now Arhat Sariputra and Arhat Mahamoglana ya Arhat Moglana, these are the disciple, one of the 5 disciples, or these are the 2 people. So these are the prominent disciples of Gautama Buddha, eventually who became the great Buddha, right? So the chief disciple hai of Lord Buddha and one of the 2 Dhamma Senapatis. So one of the prominent Dhamma Senapati who propagated the ideals of Gautam Buddha. Now first human disciple to directly learn the Abhidhamma from the Buddha, means the philosophical aspect of the Buddhist philosophy, right? What Gautam Buddha actually talked about, those particular things philosophically conveying to the people that what exactly he wanted to convey, those particular ideals was being taught by him. So he was regarded as the first teacher to carry forward the Abhidham tradition. And second is the Arhat Moglana or Mahamoglana. He was also known by the name of the Kolita, right? So he served as the teacher to the Gautam Buddha's son Rahul, right? So he was the son of Gautam Buddha, and eventually the Mahamoglana, yeah, Moglana was the teacher, a prominent teacher, right? So the monastery is important, right? Apart from that, there are these people like the Arhat Sariputra and the Arhat Mahamogla. These are the important personalities because they were towards the salvation, and under the leadership of Gautam Buddha, they were the prominent disciples, right? So this is the important thing that we had to talk about from the perspective of the news today of 1st June. I hope whatever we have discussed is clear to you. Now we'll meet again in another set of discussion regarding this, but do practice to make sure that whatever you are reading, practice that adequately. Okay, we'll meet again. Thank you.